Greetings and welcome back to our special bicentennial edition of the Jacksonville Buzz. I'm your host, Adrienne Horton. Now, joining me in the studio now is Dahlia Farah from Farah & Farah, and they've always stated that they feel that they have a moral obligation to give back to the community. We're going to find out just how they do that. Welcome, Dahlia.
Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Now, I know that that's one of the statements that Farah & Farah have, which is, we give back to the community. And you are giving back to the community this year, helping to sponsor the Jacksonville 200, the Bicentennial. Tell me how you got involved with that.
So Farah & Farah has been a proud member of our Jacksonville community for over 40 years, and we thought this was a great opportunity to give back. So we are celebrating the Jacksonville Bicentennial, and Jacksonville has so many different neighborhoods, so many different great assets that this is a great opportunity to reflect upon. Each neighborhood kind of has its own personality, and this is a way to kind of look back and see what Jacksonville has to offer.
Yes. Now, you're specifically celebrating, sponsoring the celebration of the festival and the fireworks, but also the JAX art. Mm-hmm. Tell me about the art and why art's important for the community.
So we are sponsoring the JAX Arts 200 because creativity and arts are very important for our company as well as our family. Farah & Farah sponsors multiple public installations in downtown Jacksonville. So we have 2 sculptures outside of our 10 West Adams Street location and our North Laura Street building. And our 10 West Adams Street is our headquarters. It's a historic building that we have restored and we're proud of. And we have a new building now on North Laura Street. And that also just shows our commitment to downtown. We enjoy being in downtown. We take pride in our downtown. We're always looking for opportunities to improve our downtown.
Well, I mean, after 40 years in Jacksonville, I mean, you are a staple. That's for sure. And people all know the Farah & Farah name, and your community involvement stretches far and wide. But what was it when I know Ron Episcopo from the JAX Art 200 came to you? What was it about what he was saying about the Bicentennial that you took on board and made you want to sponsor it?
So like I said earlier, we're proud to be part of the Jacksonville community. As Jacksonville has grown, it's become diversified. We have different people and different cultures in Jacksonville, and our clientele, it mirrors our clientele, honestly. Right. And as Jacksonville has grown, our firm has grown as well.
Well, and you say that, as we're thinking about the last 200 years, what do you think we're going to be thinking of as we go forward into the future? And what does Farah & Farah want to do with the future?
And so as Farah & Farah has grown, what strikes me the most is how we've been able to grow sustainably. Even though we've grown, we haven't compromised on our client care and our ways of improving our client experience and our ways of helping the client. We're very client-centric, and so we've kind of used that into building our law firm. And like I said, as Jacksonville grows, we continue to grow as well, and we're doing so in a way that still is client-focused.
Dahlia, thank you for coming in. I mean, this is a special bicentennial edition. Thank you for the sponsorship, and I look forward to seeing you at the bicentennial celebrations.
We're looking forward to it.
And we will be right back with some more bicentennial news after these messages. Greetings and welcome back to another special edition of the Bicentennial Jacksonville Buzz. I'm your host, Adrienne Horton. And joining me in the studio today is Jimmy Paluso from ViStar and Ron Episcopo from JAX Arts 200. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Now we're going to be talking about basically ViStar and their community involvement with the Bicentennial and how this young gentleman here has helped ViStar understand the importance of the arts. So first of all, before we get to all of that, Jimmy, tell us about you and how you find yourself in Jacksonville with ViStar.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. Thank you for letting us come up here and speak. So my name is Jimmy Paluso, and I've lived in Jacksonville since '96. Like many other families, my father and mother decided to move down here from New Jersey because the snow was just way too much. So I grew up here, went to middle school and high school here, and then I joined the Navy. I was a naval officer for 6.5 years on active duty. And I'm currently now a reservist. So from time to time, I get activated and I go serve my country still in that capacity. And it's a real blessing. I love it. But when I was serving, I lived in several different cities: Norfolk, Virginia, San Diego, California, Philadelphia, and Jacksonville's home. I wanted to come back home. So when I finally got out, that's exactly what I did. When I came home, I was fortunate to find some good work working in government affairs. And this last go around, the Navy activated me, and I served overseas for a year up until September. And when I came back home, there was an awesome opportunity with ViStar to work in their government affairs shop, which is pretty brand new. So it's myself and my boss, the VP of Government Affairs, Matt Brockelman, who's also a well-known, civic, engagement type guy who's pretty well regarded in the community. So he and I work in government affairs over at ViStar, and I couldn't be happier. It's the best place to work.
Fabulous, fabulous. So tell me about this community involvement with the Bicentennial and how ViStar got involved.
Well, I mean, as most people who look at our skyline know, ViStar has a major presence here in the city of Jacksonville. We've got the tower. We've had it for now, I think, 3.5 years, and we really want to make our presence known in the city of Jacksonville. Not just because it's a good marketing idea, but because our tagline is "Do good, bank better." We want to do good in our community. And when it comes to something like the Bicentennial, we want to make sure that we're putting our stamp on it, that we're a part of it, that we are stewards of the community, just as we are, helping our members who need financial assistance. So we partnered with Ron, and we have the ViStar Kids Wall, which is going to be right in front of the public library, right in downtown. And so I think it's 132 elementary schools, right, in the city, ages or 3rd grade and below. Can participate and put a piece of art, and then we put it on this art wall. I think 32 pieces of art per school. Maybe you could speak a little more to it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things that we wanted to do. And without Ron, we wouldn't have found that really cool idea that we thought really spoke to the community and could also be a really good type of engagement for the Bicentennial.
Yeah. No, this JAX Kids Art Wall. Was it your idea?
Yes.
Okay.
Whoa. ViStar's on it. Let's not,
Yeah.
So we thought we had to engage children, and we didn't want to make it too broad, so we said children under 10 years of age or 3rd grade. We sent it out, and the Duval Public Schools are so involved. They're putting out the message to all the teachers. They're allowed to submit, and if you do the math, 136 schools times 32 per school, we're going to have 4,000 pieces of art. But the wall is going to be incredible. It's going to stretch approximately 130 feet, zigzagging in and out over the top. ViStar, when we called ViStar and said, I need some money for what we want to do, it was how much? Yep.
How fabulous.
Yep.
Now, do we need to get the Guinness Book of Records in here? Because this sounds like it's going to be the biggest children's art wall that's been displayed.
I haven't validated that, but I've been saying it, that it's probably the largest. And as I keep correcting people, the printer will always send back proofs correcting the word kids. And we did want it with a Z on.
I know.
Yes.
Actually, I have to say, it's a pet peeve of mine calling children kids because I always think of baby goats.
Yes.
And I like to call them children, but you can't get anything fancy with a Z or a, and they all understand that they're their kids. So, so tell me, Ron, a little bit more about what's happening with the JAX Arts.
So I came on board, I think it was March 1st. They asked me to, well, the funny story is I was asking about art participation. And the next thing I know, I got an email that said I was chairman of the arts committee for the Bicentennial. So they said, go get some money because we're all self-funded. ViStar, as I said earlier, jumped on board. They said, absolutely. Farah and Farah, same deal. How much do you need? And they're supporting it. So we're going to have children's art. We have adult art. That doesn't sound right. But we have a gallery in the public library for the adults. They'll be competing for a cash prize of $1,000 for Best in Show. We have the art booth, which will tell you everything about art in Jacksonville. We have the imposters. We have people with abilities, and these are wheelchair artists. They're not sitting in their wheelchair painting. They're actually using the wheels of their wheelchair to create these canvases.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's going to be incredible. And we have a couple other things going on. Artists painting in the street, but we couldn't have done it without people like Jimmy and ViStar, Farah, Wells Fargo, who said, yes, we need to give back to our community.
Absolutely. And that's why it's important for businesses to be involved in the Bicentennial this year. You know, it's visibility for them, but it's also good for the public to see. Mm-hmm. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you, ViStar, for everything that you're doing.
Of course. We've been here for 75 years, and we intend to be here for another 75 and more.
Wonderful.
You know, we love this city.
Wonderful. Thanks, Ron. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And in closing with our special bicentennial edition of the Jacksonville Buzz, you can find more information on JAX Arts 200 and also ViStar on iwannabuzz.com. Greetings and welcome to a special bicentennial edition of the Jacksonville Buzz. I am your host, Adrienne Horton. Now, as a gift to the citizens of Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Historical Society are compiling a book to be published later this year about people from within the community and their stories. To discuss this and more, I'm delighted to welcome Kate Hallock, Chief of Staff of the Jacksonville Historical Society. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you very much, Adrienne. I'm so pleased to be here.
So tell me, how did this idea of a book come about?
Exactly. So Dr. Alan Bliss, the CEO of the Historical Society, felt that there should be a permanent reminder of our bicentennial, similar to another permanent marker that we're talking about, which is a bronze bell, but that's another story for another program. But the purpose behind the book, according to Dr. Bliss, is that at the Jacksonville Historical Society, our stock and trade are our city stories. You know, our tagline is one city, many stories. We never run out, no two are alike. As we approach the bicentennial, we're collecting and preserving and sharing these stories to help us all reflect not just on the past 200 years, but on our future, the next 200. So understanding how we got to where we are is crucial to imagining where we will be.
So it's not really about the history of Jacksonville. It's about the people within Jacksonville.
That's a very good comment, very good point. It is a snapshot of Jacksonville in its bicentennial year as a gift to the people of the future, which is what you said in your introduction. During 2022, we are attempting to share bicentennial moments throughout our social media. For instance, our archivist, Mitch Heeman, is every day is preparing an interesting, fascinating little story, a vignette with images and tiny tales about something that occurred in Jacksonville's past. This week, for example, as we observed the anniversary of the Great Fire of 1901, he has a 5-part series that led up to, discuss the Great Fire and what happened in its aftermath. So you have to be sure to check out our Facebook page to get an idea of what we're doing. And these tiny little vignettes are sort of a precursor to what we're trying to do with the book, only we're trying to do it with the stories of the people of Jacksonville.
Now, is this going to be a coffee table book, or is it a paperback, or what?
No. Actually, the book itself will be probably a soft cover, 128, maybe a little bit more pages. We will have some images in it, and we're asking people to send us images that tell their story. But basically, it's going to be the answer to 3 questions that we will ask people, have been asking people, and so far we have dozens of responses. The first question of the book is, how did you come to live in Jacksonville?
Are you asking me?
Well, you can give us that answer today on air, or you can fill out our form. But that's the first question, and it goes deeper than just you, unless you're the first generation to be here. But how did your family come to be here in Jacksonville? And so far, the answers are fascinating because there are, you think about Jacksonville and you think about the events that happened, and there are some things that really stand out as to why people came to Jacksonville. Right after the Great Fire of 1901, there was a need for people in the trades and stonemasons to help rebuild the city. So we got a lot of immigrants in that period, a lot of people from Italy and other European countries that was their stock in trade. Then during World War II, during our shipbuilding era, we had a lot of people come for that, and a lot of people come with the military who loved Jacksonville, stayed or came back after their tour of duty and made Jacksonville their home. So we've had stories from people whose forebears were here even before the Great Fire to people who have just been here in the last 10 years.
Yeah. So how can people participate? I mean, I'm sure everyone thinks that they've got a fabulous story about arriving in Jacksonville.
Exactly.
But who sifts through them? I mean, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a good question. If you go to JAX200.org and click on the Stories tab, you'll see in the first paragraph a place to click on, which will take you to an online form, and it'll guide you through these 3 questions. And we're compiling them. We're not at the point yet where we know who's going to sift through them, and it's right now I've just been looking at them, and it's just been an eye-opening thing to read these responses.
I'm sure. Well, Kate, what else would you like the audience to know about the Bicentennial and the book?
Well, the book won't be ready probably till later in the year, and this is our bicentennial year, so we're going to stretch it out.
Okay.
I mentioned earlier something about our bell, which will again also happen later in the year, and I hope there'll be an opportunity to be on this program to talk about the bell as well, because that is going to be really the permanent marker for this bicentennial.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here in the studio, and thank you for all you're doing to represent Jacksonville.
Absolutely. Thank you, too, for allowing me to be here.
A pleasure.
Thank you, Adrienne.
And don't forget, if you'd like to know any more information about the Bicentennial, you will also be able to find it on iwannabuzz.com.